Hello, welcome to our live online info session for the Certificate in Accounting program at Ashton College. My name is CJ McGilvery, and I'm with the Marketing and Communications team. I'll be hosting the session. I'm joined by several colleagues. We have Rika from Marketing and Communications, who will be handling the technical aspects. We also have Rita from admissions, and we have Cynthia, who's the instructor for the course. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. A couple of housekeeping notes for our attendees. We'd love to have lots of engagement. If you are on Zoom, you can use the chat box function, you can use the raise hand function, or you can use the Q&A box function. If you're on Facebook Live, please do leave us a comment. We will check those during the session. If you're on YouTube, you can always leave us a comment there, or simply email info@ashtoncollege.ca, or give us a call at 604-891-1249, or toll free at 1-866-759-6006. As I said, we love engaging, so please do reach out. Cynthia, so welcome so much. Thank you for being here with me today.
Thank you.
To start us off, just a fun question. What do you love about accounting, and what excites you about the field?
For me, what got me into it kind of in the beginning was the fact that you have a beginning and you have an end, and you can see it complete all the way through, which is kind of nice. It's nice to see work completed. So that was a big thing for me. But I also like helping, and an accountant is always a helper in giving knowledge to individuals, creating information to give knowledge, which is a great thing to help.
For sure. And I understand you've actually been working in accounting since you were a teenager, helping out with the family business. Did you know back then that you wanted to turn this into a career?
No, I actually tried to stay away from it.
Okay.
To begin with, I tried to stay away from it, but I kept getting kind of getting pushed back into it. And then I'm going, well, actually, there's you realize that there's different areas of accounting that you can do. It's not all just you get into the strategic end of it, or the finance end of it, and helping companies get financing, and looking at different scenarios, helping create business plans. There's all sorts of different ends of accounting that you can work into in different fields, right? Like I've worked all the way from real estate all the way to hotels and construction. Yeah, so it's kind of a neat industry because whatever you learn is transferable to other jobs, which is great.
It sounds like there's a ton of variety. People can find work in with different organizations, different styles. And I'm hearing you emphasize that idea of helping people and being able to find solutions for organizational issues or challenges there. So you also work as a public accountant to support charities and startup companies, right?
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about that. It sounds really rewarding, helping those people from the ground up. Could you describe it a little bit for us?
Sure. Most of the time what you're doing is they want to learn how to do their own business, and you want to teach them how to do their own business because they have to understand the numbers that you're creating with the accounting software or with whatever program you use. So what I try to do is be a liaison with them and creating the information and creating the programs for them so that they can grow their business, and as they grow, hire the individuals as needed. And I'm just there as a helper along the way as they grow, which is kind of nice because a startup's the biggest problem with them is cash flow. They need to know where the money is and where it's going. So that's where the accounting is very crucial. And that old saying, garbage in, garbage out. Right? So you want to make sure you have great information going into the whatever programs you're using, so you have great information coming out of them.
For sure. Thank you so much. So I feel like we have a little bit about your background. Before we jump into discussing the actual course material and the program, I thought we could jump over to Rita from admissions, who can tell us a little bit about the admissions process. So Rita, please take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rita. I'm the admissions coordinator at Ashton College. My business hours are Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I can always be reached during those hours at 604-891-1249 or email me at info@ashtoncollege.ca. I'm going to speak a little bit about three things: the admission requirements, the next intakes we have, and a little bit about the tuition fees. The admission requirements are a minimum of a high school diploma with transcripts, to be 19 years of age at the start of the program, and the English language proficiency test if required. Please do call me or email me to see if you are part of that requirement or not, or visit us at ashtoncollege.ca under our policy on admissions. You can read all about that in there. We have 2 upcoming intakes, one full-time starting April 19th until July 13th. The webinars are Monday to Friday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Our next part-time intake is around the corner, literally, March 23rd until November 4th. Those webinars are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Again, please feel free to contact me anytime to get all that information, and it can be also found under our website at ashtoncollege.ca under Certificate in Accounting. And lastly, our tuition fees and application fees. If you're a domestic student, meaning a permanent resident or Canadian citizen, your application fee is $200 and $300 for our international students. Tuition fee for domestic students is $3,450 and $4,485 for our international students. And please note that our tuition fee can be done in 3 installments. And our textbook fees are approximately $1,000. Again, please do not hesitate to contact me, 604-891-1249, or email me at info@ashtoncollege.ca. I'd be more than pleased to assist you. Have a great day, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Rita. So yes, folks have, admissions for the part-time program. The program starts on the March 23rd, it's right around the corner. So you can definitely reach out to Rita, get the information you need there. Back to you, Cynthia. Let's talk a little bit about the program itself. What are some of the main topics covered?
Well, we start with, of course, financial accounting, which is understanding the basics of doing a double entry accounting and understanding the difference between a balance sheet and income statements. And we do get into a little bit of cash flow statements. Then we get into advanced financial accounting, which is your leases, your depreciation, and adjusting entries. And then from there, once you've got those as your foundation, we start learning the accounting programs, right? So you've got your Sage, you've got your Quickbooks. And then from after that, we get into the cost accounting, which is another big one. And then from there, it's tax and payroll. And then from there, after that one is the big one, is understanding audits and how they work and what auditors are looking for to make sure that you're know the internal controls of the company and what needs to be done to separate duties and make sure that there's strong internal controls so that there's no issues.
For sure. Do you have a personal favorite module or a favorite aspect of the program that you just described?
My favorite, I guess, would be the beginning. I like, because people are usually so new, never done an accounting course before, usually when they come in. And so setting that strong beginning and that strong foundation makes them excel in the course, right? Because you have to understand how the balance sheet relates to the income statement and how the income statement relates to the balance and all the different accounts. Without that, and understanding it from a non-computer way, it really does help create a foundation. And it's all about the pyramid, right? If you control make a strong beginning, you're able to stand up as you go along.
I love that metaphor. And when you say a non-computerized way, I know, we'll talk about this probably later in the session, but the program sets you up for computerized environments and manual environments. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about that?
Sure. In order to understand what the computer is doing behind the scenes, you have to understand the manual process that it's doing. And that's why, as I said, the first 2 courses of financial accounting and advanced financial are so integral to the program because of the fact that they allow you to understand what the computer's doing, so that, oh, I know what's happening. Like when I'm writing a check, it's going to the bank and it's going to that expense account because I've done it manually on either my class. When I teach it, we are using Excel, right? And we use what they're called T accounts to kind of understand the different accounts and using it, which you really need to know that in order to understand, in case you make a mistake in QuickBooks or Sage, how to correct it. And having that manual way is able to understand, oh, what did I do? How do I correct it?
That makes perfect sense, the way you described it. So let's talk about software. You've mentioned QuickBooks and Sage. Are those the two big ones? Is there anything else that people need to be aware about in terms of
Well,
software?
there's Wave, which is free in Canada, which
Okay.
a lot of startups use because of it being free. And then there's also FreshBooks. Microsoft has Great Plains. And as the companies get bigger, a lot of them have, like Timberline is what's used a lot of the times in real estate.
Okay.
So each one is specific. There's a lot of specific ones to individual industries. But if you understand the basics, they're all pretty similar. So once you understand the basics, you can understand what the computerized systems are doing and how to use them to your advantage.
For sure. It sounds a lot like video editing software. There might be
Exactly.
7 different programs. They all function pretty similar, or word processing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of similarities that I'm
Yeah.
hearing there.
Yeah, they just have little quirks with them, but yeah, overall, like each one has little ones specific for little areas, but yeah, they all do the same.
Is it something you can learn on the job to be able to adapt to, say, Timberland, the new software for a different client?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
Because once you understand, like with Sage and QuickBooks, you understand the basics of the accounting programs, and you'll notice when a lot of the clients, the students realize that, oh, wow, they're really close together. It's similar. There's little quirks with each one that make them a little different, but they're very similar. So you realize that all programs are similar. All have a chart of accounts, all have a general ledger. They have accounts payable module, they have accounts receivable module, and they could have purchasing and different items in there as well. So yeah, it's really, once you've learned, you can continue on. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the certificate program gives you the foundation that you need to then grow and learn on the job with future clients and opportunities.
Yes, exactly.
So I asked you what your personal favorite aspect of the course was. Do you have a guess on what students will be most interested in?
I would probably say the accounting, the computerized accounting.
Okay. Why do
Yeah,
you say so?
because everybody wants to jump right into that. It
Okay.
seems like they want to jump right into that. And it's, as I said, you need that pyramid. So you need that strong base in order to grow. And so to me, they want that but I think they need the other ones to understand how it works.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like foundation building, and then you can get to the kind of fun stuff, more efficient, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah.
Awesome. So one of our largest demographics at Ashton College is people who've recently immigrated to Canada. They may already have accounting experience abroad. They may have education abroad, but they're finding that their education and experience is simply not recognized by employers in Canada. So I was curious, in your experience, do employers care about Canadian education? Could a program such as this help open doors for people when they're, encountering roadblocks with getting recognition?
You got to remember our tax systems, our payroll systems are very different than a lot of other countries. So yes, this really does help because you may have those credentials elsewhere, but you don't know the rules here. You don't know the Canadian gap. You don't know the payroll income tax act. You don't know the payroll, right? So this course teaches you those. You may have the fundamentals, like you may have the first course, but that still is, because it's related to Canadian GAAP, is still formatted towards Canadians. So there may be things that are different than where you were from. If you were in the UK, or well, maybe not quite UK, but in other countries, bringing those across, having that knowledge you have is great, but this course will really help you with the Canadian end of it.
Amazing. It sounds very thorough, and like it can definitely support people when they're going out for job interviews and such. So what kind of jobs are available for accountants? Like, is every organization hiring? I know you mentioned, real estate, construction. What other kind of jobs are available, and what industries?
Well, you think every business that deals with cash of some sort or has books of some sort needs an accountant, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, for example, if you look at Cactus Club, right? Each store usually has an accountant in there that does the cash flows at the end of the nights and the deposits at the end of the nights and all that. And then there's probably in their corporate office, there's tons of them in there as well, right? So there's always a lot. And the great thing with accounting is usually, depending on where you go, there's great room for growth in a lot of them, because you come in and then you grow with the company as you get more experience with the company, which is great.
This is a super specific question building on that, but say someone has accounting experience in real estate. Is it then hard to get a job as an accountant for a restaurant because the industries are so different? Or is the experience kind of recognized?
It's recognized.
Okay.
It is recognized. You may not go, if you were a controller in a real estate company, you may have a little hard time getting across as a controller in the food and beverage, because you don't know about doing inventory counts and all that end of it, because you've never done that. So that may be a little different, but you could still go across. You just may not have it the same level.
So there is flexibility and movement between industries. It just might not be directly horizontal.
Yeah. It may not be lateral. Yeah.
Yes. That makes perfect sense. Thank you. So with your years of experience, has the accounting industry changed? Any observations on new developments?
We are strongly enforcing, as we were talking about earlier, ethics. We are the watchdog of ethics. They're really wanting us to be that of the companies. So we're finding we're doing a lot more HR, human resources. Seems to be that's the other one as well that we seem to be doing a lot more is human resources, which kind of coincides because of the fact that a lot of the time the accounting does the payroll. So we also do the human resources, but I would say the biggest one is ethics. We're really wanting to make sure that the companies are following a strong ethics. Like we aren't doing anything. I don't want to say illegal, but abnormal, I guess.
And those are different, right? Things can be legal, not necessarily ethical, if they're not one for one. Let's just recap since we were chatting earlier. So you have mandatory ethics training that you have to do as part of your certification?
Yes, I'm a CPA, and CPAs are required to do 4 hours of ethics every 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, so that's something folks can look forward to.
Yes, and when they want to go into that field.
Yes, absolutely.
It's also spending a lot of money on CPA courses, which are professional development courses.
Oh, okay. And is that something you do every year?
It's mandatory, yes. So you're constantly learning. Yeah. The good thing is, with our Canadian tax system, income tax is constantly changing, payroll tax is constantly changing, so you're constantly learning with them as well.
Yeah. I can definitely see how in an environment where things are constantly changing, you'll stay engaged. You're not going to necessarily get bored in the same way because there will be new developments. There will be that continuing professional development.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. So Aside from knowledge of accounting principles, we talked about ethics as well. What are some other skills that are really important to have in order to succeed as an accountant?
Attention to detail.
Okay.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Attention to detail is very, and a strong work ethic. Not necessarily independent working, but it does help because sometimes you are the only, sometimes you are the only one in the office sometimes, or right now we're all from working from home too. So we're all feeling that right now. But yeah, strengthen the skills is also a big one too. Strengthen your skills. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you mentioned the human resources aspect, and you also mentioned, supporting organizations. So having good people skills, I imagine, being able to work with others,
Yes.
collaborate. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And it's the old saying, accountants are usually not the best English students, but there's programs out there, like I use Grammarly to help me.
I do
And
too.
so there is programs out there that help you with your grammar. And I will admit, I'm an accountant. I'm good with numbers, but I'm not good with spelling. Right? It comes around.
Yeah. Well, and you talk to any English student, they'll say the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that I was curious about that actually. Like, how good do you have to be at math in order to, make a go at accounting? Is it something that can be learned? Is it something that's innate?
You have to have, the old saying is like, you'll see a lot of people run the numbers off their heads. Yeah. Accountants, some do that, but a lot of them don't, because when you're learning, you're told never to trust what's in your head. You trust what's written down, because you never know if you're wrong. So you're always double checking your answer, right? So there's you always can see if your work works. There's always a way to check your work.
Yeah.
And so, yes, you do need to know math. Do you have to love it and be able to do the times tables off your top of your head, or do calculations off of the top of your head? No, because you would never trust the ones that come off the top of your head. You would trust the ones that you're doing in an Excel spreadsheet or a program.
Yeah. A kind of through line of what I'm hearing you say is that accounting offers really stable answers. So if you're someone that likes precision,
yes,
and not having, gray area across the board, but you like being able to get those answers, you like knowing that you've been precise, it sounds like accounting could be really rewarding in that way, and really satisfying as well.
Yeah.
Very different from philosophy.
Very much so. Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest challenges people face in the field?
Oh.
Or in your experience?
In my experience, I would say the biggest problem that they would probably is education, like not having the proper education. And they're going into the field, and or most of my staff know this with me, is don't come to me without the solution to the problem that you're going to ask. It may be wrong, and that's okay, but I at least want you to think about it before coming to me. And you need that mindset in accounting. You need somebody to be able to think in accounting, and sometimes think outside the box, because some of those situations need that, to give it a situation outside the box in order to find the solution that's needed for whatever may be as you grow into accounting. Yeah.
Would you say being solution oriented is important, or having the critical thinking skills?
I think it's more the critical thinking skills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly problem solving. And when you're in public practice, remember, or even when you've got your own books, you're doing a company's books, you're getting everything after the fact a lot of the times. So the thing's already happened.
The money's been spent.
Money's been spent. You have to figure out what they did based on what they've given you. And sometimes that's not always legible with what they've given you. So you have to be critical thinking enough to figure out, okay, what did they do? Or be able to ask the person and feel comfortable asking the person.
Yeah. Bit of detective work
Yeah,
involved in finding
very
those
much so.
answers.
Yeah.
And you have to have the curiosity to seek those answers out for sure.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Lovely. Why don't we jump over to Rika for a moment? Do we have any questions from our Facebook Live audience?
Guys, yes, we do have a question from our Facebook viewer who is a newcomer to Canada, and these would like to find out, is accounting a regulated industry in Canada? Are there any accounting designations that I should take or be aware of?
Great question. Cynthia?
I am a registered chartered professional accountant, and that is the CPA is the registered accounting designation in Canada. And what that entitles you to do is you're able to do reviews, audits, and do notice to readers for companies, as well as being in any industry if you wanted to be in that. Those were public practice, or you could be in any industries, but you've got the training behind you with that designation.
Wonderful. Any other questions from our Facebook Live audience?
You guys might have already covered this during the program outline. Someone also wants to find out which is a more superior accounting software, Sage or QuickBooks. Will I be learning both applications in this program?
Sounds like a hot debate.
Yes, you will be learning both, and it's actually user's preference. I have used both, and I still currently use both. Sage originally was Bedford, way back. And I learned that when I was 14 years old. And then it got bought out by Simply Accounting. And then Simply Accounting got bought out by Sage. QuickBooks has always been QuickBooks. And I've known them for a long time as well. So it's really user preference, which one you like better. In this one course, we do QuickBooks desktop version. The QuickBooks Online is very similar to desktop. There's a little differences, but they're very similar. So once you know one, it's very transferable. Sage also has an online version, but I can't make a judge because it really does depend on users' preference.
That was a great answer, though. It really kind of paints the picture for us. And funny how they have such varied histories of ownership and getting bought out. Thank you so much, Rika. And I'll just give a shout out again for our attendees over Zoom. If you do have any questions, you can always use the chat box function, Q&A box function, or the raise hand function. If you are someone who likes to think about your questions after the fact, all good. You can email us at info@ashtoncollege.ca or give us a call at 604-891-1249 or toll free 1-866-759-6006. As I said before, lots of ways to engage with us. You can also follow us on social media, chat with us there. Okay, back to you, Cynthia. So let's throw a fun question in here for the mix. We love continuing education. We love lifelong learning at Ashton College. Anything on your bookshelf right now, or your bedside table, your to-be-read list for pleasure or for professional purposes?
Okay, for pleasure, Netflix has a new series, Firefly Lane.
Okay.
And I want to watch it, but I'm reading the book series first. And it's by Christian Hanna, which she's in the Pacific Northwest. So local, and she talks about the local. So it's kind of nice. I like that one. So that's for that. And for I am doing a Warren Buffett's book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
any find that helps with career and sort of thoughtfulness around work?
No, that one's actually for me personally for financing.
Okay. Gotcha.
But no, like with accounting, I've been doing a few courses. I just did a course on diversification. So I'm now certified for having a diverse learning to be a diversified office and creating that.
Wow.
I've just finished the new 2020 income tax update. So I'm all set with that one as well now
Fantastic.
for 2020 tax.
So I know I was asking you about books, but you have all this professional development that you have to do for your certification.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. Awesome. Well, I think I've asked most of the questions that I had about the actual program. I think we covered really good foundational information, lots about your perspective. There is one thing I didn't put on the list, but I'm always curious about. I think one of the great debates right now with choosing a career path is thinking about automation, thinking about artificial intelligence, and thinking about job security for the future. And do you have any thoughts on the accounting profession and what that might look like in the future?
Well, it's already getting pretty automated right now. Quickbooks is doing a lot of automation with the timesheets, with taking photos of your receipts, uploading it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where the critical thinking comes in,
Mm-hmm.
because you really still need to make sure the information going in is correct to get the
Mm-hmm.
information going out where you can make those critical decisions
Mm-hmm.
and help the owners or the board of directors or whoever make those strong decisions. You have to have accurate information to make them.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like accounting is not going to be fully automated anytime soon because there's that critical thinking piece. There will always be a need for smart, educated, hardworking accountants in all of these organizations, no matter where automation takes us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Wonderful. So I'll just give another shout out for our attendees. Before we wrap up, please do reach out if you have any future questions. You can reach us by email at info@ashtoncollege.ca or give us a call at 604-891-1249 or toll free 1-866-759-6006. Cynthia, I always like to end on a question about any final advice or insight that you'd like to share with us, particularly if there's someone watching the video who's unsure about pursuing a career in accounting. What would you say to that person?
It's a great career. Don't get in your mindset that you're just a bean counter, because you're not. You're much, much more. You're an integral part of the organization who they rely on your skill sets, because a lot of entrepreneurs usually are great salespeople, but they aren't usually good with accounting. And so they rely on you heavily in that end.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight and your experiences with us today. As always, very excited for the students who will be studying with you in the next intake. Folks, if you have any questions, please do reach out. And I think with that, I'll just wish everyone a great rest of your week.